The DA is still basking from its manifesto launch at the Union Buildings yesterday, and with their rescue plan for South Africa, they have tabled 7 pledges. But how realistic are these? Well, let's now extend a very warm welcome to Professor Andre Duvenhage, a political analyst from the Northwest University, to give us more insight. Prof, as always, thank you so much for your time. Look, let's start here. How did you view the 7 pledges, especially on the load shedding and creating jobs front? Interesting also that load shedding has actually become a critical and key campaigning tool for some political parties at this stage.
Good afternoon, Elisha. Yes, indeed, the whole manifesto is built on the premise that the 2024 elections is a window of opportunity where the DA, in collaboration with the multi-party charter parties, can take the ANC out of power. We have listened to Gauteng people speaking earlier, and the DA firmly believe that they can make a huge difference in Gauteng. But what is important is the 7 core pillars of their manifesto: creating 2 million jobs, ending load shedding and water shedding, halve the rate of violent crimes, abolish cadre deployment and going for merit deployments, taking 6 million people out of poverty, increase the grade 4 ability to read and write by 3 times, and quality health and access for ordinary people to health. Now, I believe in principle all these is attainable, but it's only attainable in a certain environment, and that is an environment of stability. It is an environment of capacitating the state. And then a point they are making that is very important is the involvement of the private sector in different areas. In other words, they are working towards a more minimum state, while the ANC is working for a maximum state. The one is driven by social democratic principles, that is the DA, and the other one by stronger centralization, socialist type of practices.
And you just mentioned a critical point there, Prof, that I want to, further this discussion on. I mean, a lot of questions have been raised around the DA stance on that very same point, the cadre deployment, taking the ANC to court on this matter and, of course, winning that case and promising to abolish the system should they win elections. But how feasible is this on a broader perspective? Surely you want those that are best aligned with your policies to further them. At the same time, you want the best qualified people to be appointed to the job.
Yes, Alicia, I think there's 2 sides to that coin. The one is, in all democracies, you will always get what we call political appointments or political control of some sort. But when it reached the point where the whole regime is becoming party-orientated, and you cannot differentiate between the bigger political system or regime and the party, then you have a problem. Now, currently, we are at the latter scenario, but in practice, a clear, absolute differentiation between politics and administration, according to the old American president Woodrow Wilson, is not practical in many ways, but I believe that the DA is not going to leave this there. They are definitely going to take this up as an election issue, and they will, I believe, take the ANC to court, probably identify cases that are problematic. It is very interesting that in their manifesto, they ask for the abolishment of the State Security Agency, and it should be replaced by a new other institution.
And Prof, look, the Moonshot Pact that you also referred to earlier on, or the multi-party coalition, also poses many questions because judging by the current situation with coalitions that are currently in place in some metros, can they ever then be practical and put the needs of the voters first and bring about adequate service delivery, especially with the very glaring differences in policies of these different parties, Prof?
Alicia, politics is a mirror image of society, and society is very divided. And it is the job of politicians, maybe it should be their number one job, not to polarize society, but to build bridges. And because of identity politics, because of specific folkie working away from what we call the general interest or the common good, as a result, the disintegration of coalitions at the local level. And we have seen that in Joburg, in Tshwane, Nelson Mandela Metropole. And I believe that this election is not going to bring an absolute majority to the ANC. It's most probably going to be below 50%. And that will force them in some sort of a coalition. And the same is applicable to Gauteng and probably KZN. And people are also talking about the possibility of coalitions in the Free State, where Uysbach-Schule is gaining a bit of momentum, and maybe in the Western Cape, the DA won't achieve an absolute majority. So coalition politics is on the cards, and we still need to learn the art of coalition politics in South Africa, because this is a more sophisticated and technical form of politics requiring consensus, requiring trust, requiring to work for the common good. And many of these things are currently absent.
And so you're basically saying that coalitions are definitely the future there. Thank you so much, Prof. Unfortunately, we are out of time. That is Professor Andre Duvenhage, the political analyst from the Northwest University.